Hey guys, I'm back. I sat down probably for 30 minutes and started looking at what was going on. I actually just left this thing running since I ended the previous stream and just let it keep going, and it actually ran through all of my Claude credits. So I went and topped up my account with another 25 bucks or so. And yeah, I need to go see my live stream here. I can see the chat if there's anybody watching. So I went and troubleshot it a little bit, and coming to find out, it was just looping through the first task over and over and over and over and over and over. It wasn't actually marking it as complete. Um, Now it is, so it's actually doing the whole task now, and it wasn't actually pulling the correct model from my settings, so it was actually using the Sonnet model as well, which just kind of added to it. I think all that's fine now though, and yeah, so it's sending messages back and forth. Um, Let's see your tool use ID found. So it's getting this unexpected tool use ID at this point. So I need to figure that out as well. Um, so let's just paste this in, and we'll go ahead and stop this at this point, and let's just let the cursor take a look at that and see what's going on. Okay. All right, so it says it's fixed it, so let's actually just run our dev environment again. We'll go into this bucket browser, and it ended up being this last one here that it was just kind of just going over and over again on, and let's see what happens. We can actually see the logs of this, so it's going through, and like here it's marked task subtask complete, um, and then we have this implementation error here over and over and over and over again, um, but it's fine. We hopefully have that fixed. No, it's not fixed. So I'm actually thinking that Cursor, the composer model, this is getting to be too much for it. So I'm gonna actually switch over to Sonnet, pass that in, and then I'm gonna go ahead and kill my application here. We can actually see this task.json here. We can go ahead and open it and see what's in it at this point. So we see all the logs. I don't like that these logs are in task.json. I'd rather these be outside and only loaded in whenever the user wants to see it, because this file is just going to get massive. Oh, it's actually got the conversation history. Got a tool result here. So let's see what happens. Okay, let's run it. So we're resuming back from message 49. Cool. And it's actually add error handling for validate. That's what it's doing right now. Success. 66 done. Cancel out of here. Yeah, file copying, multiple buckets. All of the tasks are done. We have all the logs. So, yeah, so this is what we have. Then from here we have just 3 uploads, kind of just going through. Message 18 going, and I want to split this out. This is going to get huge. It's already 240 kilobytes, and I've only got 4 tasks or 4 tickets in the system. So I'm gonna say I've noticed that we're storing all ticket data, chat history, logs, etc. in the task JSON. And actually, no, I would rather this be more of a high level file that has reference to other files. For example, we might have a task ID, name, description, notes, subtasks within this file. Within the tasks folder, we would want a subdirectory for each ticket. Each subtask will have another folder within that folder. Each task will have a logs.json and chat history.json file. Each subtask have chat history .json. Okay, so I'm gonna let this go ahead and do its thing. Notice it's been working through this task just fine as well. So I think ultimately what we probably want to do is for our planning stage, we're probably going to use something more than Haiku, right? We're probably going to use our more premium models for the planning stage and see how much we can get done within in progress with Haiku, right? So this will be pass one, and then we can use our little bit more premium model for the review. And if it fails review at any level, then we switch up to a more premium model for the development. Because the idea is I want vibe coding, but I want vibe coding as cheap as possible, right? I want to get more done with my dollar, and I want it to be as automated as possible. Okay, so I need to actually cancel this out here. All right, so the idea is that when transitioning between agents, we want to have a context summary. So planning will generate a message history when moved into in progress. We will summarize the context from planning want to make sure that each agent has the best context possible without over saturating the context window. I understand. I want to implement context summarization when transitioning between agents to optimize context window uses. Our approach implementation doesn't need full planning conversation history, just concise summary. Okay, cool. So notice now, here we have the chat history, .json, and I don't know what task. It's the latest one, yeah, here. So we have this chat history now. So we have the back and forth, back and forth, back and forth of the chat history and the tool usage and that kind of stuff. But what we don't have now is now we're reading the logs as well, and it went into completed already. All right. Now let me update the implementation agent to replace planning summary variable. Wait. So the thoughts are is that during the planning stage, we generate all the subtasks and all of that kind of stuff, and we then take that, summarize that when a ticket is moved into in progress. Now, when the agent starts working on the ticket, the first chat message should contain the summarized message from the planning stage. Each subtask within this will then ultimately get summarized at the end as well. Because when we move into AI review, I want the planning summarization and then the actual work summarization to go into the AI agent, the AI review agent. Um, and then when the AI review agent reviews the code, it will have context as to what we're trying to do, not just what was done. So all of this is mostly just context building, right? It's we start out with like a very small change, right? Um, and this will probably be better if I was just a Vibely test project. Let's go ahead and delete these because they don't make any sense. So if I was just to start a brand new project here, then right now it's a blank project, does nothing. So Vibely test project. I'll show you here in just a minute. So it's going to go ahead and start at least working on a placeholder template for the AI review agent. At this point, because I did mention it. So deeper best practices. So I want it to review each subtask, right? And then uh, at the end, so I want it to review each subtask and then come back and do one once over review of the full task. Um, I think that's probably the smartest way to do things, right? Excuse me, guys. So this task, the implementation summary should be overall, or not overall, but and we need to make sure that tell the agent that as well, real quick. I'm using Sonnet currently, so I need to be wise because Sonnet is super expensive on Cursor. It's just spitting out a bunch of markdown that I didn't ask for. So I want to be a little bit clear. Each subtask should have its own implementation summary, not just the overall ticket, each subtask. So we need to make sure that we have an implementation summary of the overall ticket, but also an implementation summary of each subtask. Remember, the agent conversation is also a new conversation for each subtask. All right, see what happens. Like the per subtask summary approach. This creates a comprehensive document. Okay. So I think this is getting to be pretty decent at this point. So I'll actually stop it right there because I don't want that document. Okay. Looks like this is good. Initialize project. I think I misspelled that. Create a new Next.js application. Okay, so this is now unplanned. The AI should eventually pick this up. So we're watching the logs here. One total task, 0 queued, 0 active. So it did pick it up automatically. Now it's planning. So we can actually see what's going on here. And we're going to go to project over here. Vively test project. We're going to do a show more option. We're going to open with VS Code. Okay. I want just to see the files. All right, so we have the data. We have tickets.json. Our tasks. Excuse me, guys. All right, so we have the task here. So this is a create. So we'll. So this is an initialized project. Status planning, ready for work. Priority medium. The task ID is 593. So here we have the chat history. Task information, we have all that. Text critical, you must respond. Okay. And then the assistant says initialize. Okay. Yep. So it's just sent back a bunch of subtasks. Good to go. Yep. So here we are. We see the tasks that were created. Configure projects, install base dependencies. Configure development environment. All right. So we're going to go ahead and throw this in the queued here. This should allow the next agent to pick it up. And I don't see a summary here. Or maybe I'm missing that. So chat history got cleared out. I don't like that. This is logs. This is tasks. Oh, here's the planning summary. Okay. Okay. So the agent did pick it up. It's actually currently working on it. If we can find cursor. Okay, so I got a just error reset. That's fine. It is what it is. Okay. Yep, that's good there. Let's see what's actually being done here. So completed true. We have the subtask here. We have the summary. Nice. And we do have the source here, but I'm missing a package.json. So this is the run setup, I guess. I don't like how it's spitting this out. But I mean, I guess it makes sense. Create next app, latest. And it's creating, I mean, this is fine. Honestly, it's doing really good for the first run. And let's look at this index here. Right now it's not re-indexing anything. So I think it would be cool if our indexer could run every so often, or at least monitor for file changes and reclassify files. Oh, it did create the package JSON. Nice, I love that. Created the testing library. Created a bash file. It's creating the bash files. I don't need it to do that. But it's actually doing really, really good though. I mean, got our globals.css go on. Okay, so we need to make sure that we have, or at least we're allowing it to run some terminal commands and then get the response back. Um, so we have the, let's go look at the tasks here. It actually marked it as complete. So let's look at here. Implementation summaries is good. This is good. This is really, really, really good. All right. Now, some things that we need to make sure of. We need to add tools for it to find the OS information, right? Um, so that it can keep that in context. I need to add some tools to the implementation agent. The agent needs to be able to figure out what operating system that the user is running uh, and run some command line operations. We need to make sure that we're doing command line operations in a safe way, that it doesn't have access to the rest of the user system, only within the scope of the project. The implementation agent also needs to be able to remove files if they're no longer needed. As files are being updated, deleted, created, all of that, we need to monitor the file system when files are changed and update our index. Okay, so while we're waiting, I'm gonna go ahead and remove all of our project files here. So let's delete that. Yep, move to recycling bin. When indexing files, we need to make sure that we are not indexing any npm dependencies or other package managers. It would be great if we can run multiple implementation agents simultaneously, but we need to make sure that we are working off of different branches simultaneously. Is there a way to actually do that? Okay, so work trees would probably be the best. Okay. I don't want that markdown file. We'll stop it. All right, we're gonna start the project. Hopefully this works first try. Oops. We're gonna do npm run dev. We're gonna go to Vively test project. We're gonna delete that. We're gonna create a new project. Initialize. Create a new Next.js app. Init app. We can create the task. It should go through planning, so we're gonna wait for that. Um, our index is just there. Oh, this is just, yeah, this is index. Excuse me. So it's planning, planning, planning. Done soon. Okay, so we got a planned project. It configured all that, so we'll go ahead and throw that in the queued. Oops. Throw that in the queued. It should pick it up, and we should start seeing the project get initialized. So here's the project that we're working with. nope, nope. It seems to be getting stuck in a loop and eventually giving up when trying to do something that requires terminal interactions. We need it to detect this and try a different approach with non-interactive terminal commands. When it gives up, it's actually marking the task as complete when it actually did nothing. So what just happened is it was trying to create the Next.js application. It failed to do so. So I'm gonna actually say that this is false. It failed to do so because it was trying to execute the create next app in interactive mode. Um, well, it can't actually interact with the terminal. It would be neat if we can build a terminal uh, process that we detect and it can actually send the keyboard inputs and things like that, but I don't want to get that advanced with it. So, so we need to add some guidance. It seems like so task implementation agent is getting some guidance. All right. So let's give this another whirl here. And we'll just go ahead and into our test project here. And we'll let the AI agent just take over. Okay, so let's see what's going on over in VS Code here. Um, it's not what I want. I want this VS Code window. Alright, so it's created a bat file for some reason, but whatever. Um, no, that's not right. Let's see if it actually re-indexed though whenever that happened. It did not. Oh, okay. We should be re-indexing project files as um, files get created, modified, or deleted. Currently, the indexing engine is not doing that when it should be. Okay, so we're gonna delete this. Go to tasks here. So delete this as well. Delete this. I think that's the task ID, right? 5556. Yep. I'm gonna delete that one. Move to recycle bin. Delete these two. And the logs, we'll just make these empty. Chat history, we're gonna make this blank as well. That way it gets a clean slate. Save this. File system monitoring. Okay, that makes sense why that would be. So let's actually open this up. Okay, so we're gonna stop here. Like we got errors. Okay. Now let's actually start it now. Here, file watcher is going. So let's see if we have the index being updated, which right now it's not. Okay, so yeah, so we do have test project that got created. Perfect. This is exactly what I want to see. So task created. Yep, cool. We're in the next task. So we can watch this actually do what it's needing to do. Oh, it's not doing what it needs to do. It's not getting a context. So the context is no longer valid once it creates this new Next.js project. Um, so we have to deal with that. sadly. But it did actually create a Next.js project for us. It just created it in a subdirectory. All right, we're gonna create a new agent. And we're gonna explain. So it did create a test project for us within the task. But the next part of the task was to configure some packages for dependencies. The problem is it created the test project in a subfolder and then started setting up a brand new package JSON, assuming that the files were created in the root directory. That's not right. So it seems like we need to be sending the new index as files are created and deleted. We're updating index. It seems like we need to be sending the new index to the next task. That way it has access to the file list and things like that within its context, so it knows where to actually find files and update them. We need to make sure that the first task has a blank state, so there's no summary of what has already happened. But when we get into like the second subtask and third subtask and fourth subtask and so on, we're generating a summary of what has happened as part of the current task as a whole, what all of these sub agents have already performed to get to where we are, what files were modified, that kind of thing. That way, we're building a bigger context, so that way the tasks closer to the end don't suffer. Excuse me, guys. Oh, sorry, I don't know how to spell your name. XX Dragon, I guess. Sorry, I didn't see that you said hello. Hello. I don't even know what time you sent that. Okay, let's give this a whirl and see what happens. I'm gonna go ahead and reset this project down to. It looks like it even pulled node modules. This is great. Um, we need to make sure that we're getting rid of all this stuff. Continue, yeah, that's fine. Um, okay, that's weird. So let's actually just create a new folder. We'll call this Vibely Test. Inside of here, we're gonna basically just create a bunch of test projects. All right, let's start. Mm, project here. It's still going through the implementation, which I don't want it to do. Actually, we can just delete the task, right? Um, so let's go to Vibely Test Project. We're gonna go ahead and delete it. And then we'll run the dev again. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna create a new project here, and we'll go to Vibely Tests, and we'll say test one, select folder. All right, so we're gonna say test name init project, create next JS project. We're gonna create the task. It's gonna go through and do its own research and all that. So if you're new here, welcome. This is a project I actually started earlier today. This is meant to be a vibe coding assistant or agent. Um, the idea here is each task. So when I create a task, what it does, it kicks off a planning agent automatically, plans the project, or at least plans that task based off of the context of my project. So behind the scenes, this tool is keeping an index of files. It provides a couple of tools for this thing. That way it can pull down like the OS information so they can generate terminal commands. It can read and write files, delete files, that kind of stuff in a secure context. Once it once it plans the project here, so it plans the task, right? I just want to initialize a Next.js app, creates a task list for me. I could then review this task list. If I'm happy with it, just move it over to in progress queued. The next agent will pick it up. So what I did here is I kicked off an agent. There was some messages went back and forth. That was summarized. That summary is then getting passed into this new agent, and actually each subtask inside of this main ticket gets a brand new agent. So now what it's doing is it's actually going through and performing the implementation, right? So we can actually see file system stuff is, the file system's getting regenerated. So we'll go over to VS Code, and we're gonna go look for the Vibely tests folder here. Yes, I trust the authors here, and we can see that it created this new Next.js app. It's keeping an index of everything that's happening here, all the files and things. Um, we can see the task, like this one's completed. It's in process of creating the next. And now what we have is these files are now being implemented, right? So it's actually making changes to, you the correct place. Um, Update it. Application structure, regenerate file. Subtask, configure project settings. Okay, so it's marked that as complete. I can't see the tasks here. There's a UI glitch, which is fine. But we can see the tasks here. We can see that this is marked as true. Initializing Git repository. And we can see this implementation summary, right? So this is great. So it's making all the changes it needs to make. So let's actually see here what happened there. Okay, so it's actually going through and it's doing everything it needs to do. And we can see it's just logs. We got the tool use IDs were found without tool result. Blocks immediately after. Each tool use blocks must have a corresponding tool result. Okay. So we're getting in this loop right now that I don't like. So we're gonna send that down to yeah, that's right. It needs to clear the conversation history. Um, that's right. Let's see. There we go. Yep, this is right. Okay, so it's still, for whatever reason, in further tasks, if a project was, say we're initializing a project and it initializes it in a subfolder, further tasks are assuming that the project was initialed in the root folder and creating files out of context. This should have been resolved in a past uh, implementation, but it's still persistent. We need to solve this, and we need to solve it quickly. How do other AI agents maintain this? The problem is we're not maintaining context across agents. So when one task is complete and we move on to the next task, that context is being lost, it's being summarized. For some reason, the next agent is not able to pick up where the previous one left off. and finish the task as a whole. No, I mean subtask to subtask. So when we go from one subtask to the next, we're creating a brand new agent. So the context of the previous subtask is not being captured for the current subtask. For example, if I initialize a project and then want to create default files for that project, the project initialization is happening in a subfolder. Then we're losing the subfolder as part of the context. So when we're creating the default files, it's creating those default files within the root directory or somewhere else. We could theoretically introduce a new tool so the agent can fetch the current index. That way, there's no question as to if the index that the agent has is the most current or not. The agent can fetch that. It may be smart to tell the agent rather than including the context as part of rather than including the index as part of the system prompt or any other prompts. It may be smart to create a new tool to fetch the current index, or at least search the index. Then the AI agent can fetch the current index or search it and know where to start from there. I think that's probably a smarter approach. Because the problem that we were running into is we have this test one project right here, and we have this task here that is initialize Git repository. That's fine, but we have the subtask create basic project structure. So create Next.js project actually created it inside of this subdirectory right here. And then further on, this subtask right here is creating the sources one directory above. So we need to actually delete that. And then we need to go to uh, tasks here. This is -3. We don't have that, so we'll maintaining chat history. So we're going to go ahead and clear the chat history. So let's create Next.js project. Okay, cool. Um, so I'll let it just continue where it left off at this point. Um, and we'll just go ahead and run this as is. And we'll get this test one here. We're in this basic project structure setup. And let's actually see what happens. Message one. Okay, cool. Tool result. So it's still not liking this. So it's creating this app components, and I'm gonna stop it right here. For some reason, it's still not trying to create the files in the correct place. What can we do? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and remove the source directory again. How do I reject this change here? I want to do that. Can you revert the last change? We need to tell the agent to look at the index, make the tool call. Don't assume that everything is associated in the root directory. It needs to look at the tool and pull the paths and things like that. It can then decide to create things in the root directory if it needs to, but it needs to look at the index to make sure the project structure so it's not creating things in the wrong place. Okay, so initialize case, these. Okay, so let's give it a whirl. I am going to run out of cursor usage before I even get this project off the ground. I can already tell you that. I'm on the $200 plan and I'd run out like the snap of a finger. All right, see what happens. Excuse me. Okay, so it did actually come in and looks like it used the source directory here. Um, Layout, components. So it looks like it's doing good there. Okay, good. This looks good now. It's doing exactly what it needs to do now. All right, so I marked it as complete. We can see the logs here. Mark subtask complete. Read file, execute command, npm install. Package.json, prefix test one. Okay. Radix UI. Didn't install Radix UI here. It did. Okay. Class variance authority. Yeah. I don't know why it's installing all these dependencies, but it is actually doing what it needs to do. Write file, source components, layout, source components, layout. Okay. Styles readme.md. Styles readme.md. This is looking good. It's looking really good. Okay. I'm gonna add a task. Simple to do this. Uh, Start a simple to-do list app. Store data in local JSON files within the data directory. So we're going to create the task. We want to see what it does from beginning to end and see what happens. While this is loading, I know that there's at least one person watching. What's going on? All right, so it created some to-dos. Create data storage structure, develop to-do list item. Okay, this looks phenomenal. We're going to throw this into in progress and let it just go through. While that's happening, we're going to look at our Vibely um, tasks here. We're going to watch what it's doing over here. Task, create data storage structure marked as complete. So it looks like it just created a data. Yep, perfect. Um, develop to do item model. Define the structure of to item with essential properties. Okay, task 2 of 7 is complete. Implement data service. Yep, here we go. There's your to-do status. Types not found. Okay. It's a to-do item. Mark is done. Could be because it's the haiku model though. I'm not going to completely judge it. It's haiku. It's not really thinking hard, but it's doing really good so far for what it's. So it's designing the UI components now. Okay. So what UI components did it go and do? Source components. Add to do form. Layout.tsx. To do item. To do list. This is looking phenomenal. Okay. Add state management. This is doing exactly what it needs to do now. Add state management should be complete now. Okay. Okay, so keep going. So for now, the AI review task is literally just going to look at the changed files, right? What has changed? Is there tests written? That sort of thing. And that AI review process can then kick the project back, right? So back into in progress. I wonder how many tokens I'm using on Claude. Probably a few. Actually, I'm not using a ton. Usage. The Haiku model is probably using a lot right now. So this is actually doing really good. Cost. The Haiku model is cheap. $2.55 so far on the day. We need to modify the planning agent. It needs to understand what the project structure is, so it needs to be able to fetch the project index, just like the task implementation agent. It really needs to take priority in making sure that it's got the most up-to-date index, and it needs to prioritize researching what is already in the project versus what we need. We can actually see like this simple to-do list. I wish I could. It's a UI bug. So go look at logs here. The agent here. Agent started planning, loaded application index. So this is planning agent initiated planning request. Oops. all still in planning mode. See final planning. So it's actually not looking. So loaded index, 16 files, 6 directories, but it didn't actually read files. Okay. Analyze phase, planning phase, index instructions. Okay. So we're gonna restart the project here. Okay. We're gonna create the task. And see what happens. Okay, so let's see what the logs say. I created a new task, but the agent, when in planning phase, didn't actually read the files. It just looked at the index and said and assumed what was already there and what wasn't. It needs to actually read the files and understand what's in the files, at least the relevant files. Let's give this another shot. I'm gonna go back into test one. We're gonna throw this back into unplanned. There's a UI glitch somewhere that makes it to where the modal cannot reopen in some cases. For example, sometimes when I plan, there's a UI glitch in some places that makes it to where I cannot open a task. It seems to do when I drag it, or maybe whenever the task is moved from one place to another, it's not able to actually update any tasks once the board has been updated. Okay, well, we're just gonna let it go ahead. This still didn't fix my issue. There's some cases where when I click on the actual card, the edit modal will not appear. Wife left. She was only supposed to be gone for maybe an hour, and she's been gone for 2 hours. So let me see where she's at. So this is actually looking really promising so far. The tool is actually implementing stuff. So, all right. Um, we need to start getting ready for Git work tree implementation. Okay. Let's go ahead and create a new agent here. Seems like this is doing good. I need a way to delete projects. I also need to, when creating a new project or opening a project, make sure that Git is initialized. If it's not, go ahead and initialize a Git project using main as the default branch. go ahead and switch over to Composer. I think this is a more basic thing to do. When deleting a project, I don't want to be deleting the actual project files. We can delete the .vibely folder. That's fine. No, I don't want to delete the root directory. I want to only delete .vibely folder. I need the delete button to also appear in the current project dropdown. Actually, rather than showing it in the dropdown, can we just go ahead and show it next to the refresh button at the top right? It doesn't seem like when we're opening a project that we're verifying that a Git is initialized and that we're on the main branch. Let's proceed with option one. We want to use get work tree and independent branches on each work tree. When we do this, we need to make sure that the agents are pointing to the right place, and whenever they're trying to get the index, they're getting the index of the current work tree. All right, yeah, we need to make sure that we can multi-thread this thing, because if I'm vibe coding, I want to say open ticket, open ticket, open ticket, open ticket, and it's just flushing, just working through those tickets without me having to do much. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop the program right now. We're on Sonnet 4.5. I don't even know how much cursor usage I've used today, to be told. Um, Probably a lot. Yeah, I've used quite a bit of cursor today. I'm already used integration cloud agents. I don't know. It's showing me the chart overview. Yeah, there we go. Um, I've used quite a bit today. Okay, that's fine. Come. is gonna be a big change. It's fun vibe coding a vibe coding tool. All right, my wife is calling me. Give me just a moment, guys. All right, guys, I'm back. So hopefully, it doesn't blow up in my face when we try to do parallel execution. I don't know how this is gonna work um, at all. Truth be told, um, let's just find out together, I guess. All right, so we're gonna create a task. I'll say initialize project, create a React app in the root directory. Okay, so that's going to go into planning. We'll say simple to-do list. Make a simple to-do list. Complex to-dos. Add multi-step to-dos to my current to-do list. Whoops, it didn't like that, did it? Just see if that's a visual glitch. No, no. So we have a race condition on that. Okay. Okay. Complex to-dos. I want to add multi-step to-dos to my list. Create that. To do assignments, I want to add assignments functionality to my to-dos. Okay. That go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and kick off the initialize project. Let the agent start taking over. Okay, so we do have some problems here. So it did blow up, which is fine. So let's feed that in to cursor here. Repository is empty, no commits yet, so there's no head, no main branch. We need to handle this case by either creating an initial commit. All right. That makes sense. Let's run that here. Okay, we still have this for still happening on a project that is already opened. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and close out. Excuse me, guys. Sorry about that. Restarted on an existing project, this is still happening. No, no, I don't want to do anything else. Alright, let's just... Okay, it could just be a one-off thing, so let's give it a shot. Okay, I didn't see an error that time, so let's just drop in here. Okay, so we have the .viably folder here. Let's see here, we have data, tasks. Okay, let's go into the task. JSON here. Progress active. Tree info. Okay, so it is actually keeping up with that. Test 2, data, index is not updating, that's to be expected. Okay. Test, work tree. So it's seems to be doing what it's supposed to be doing. So it's initializing the project. Getting late, guys. We'll probably try to wrap it up in the next 20 minutes or so. MPX. This is looking great, actually. Okay, so it looks like the task started. So it did run the command to start the project, and okay, so it marked it as complete. The task is now, well, it says it marked it as complete. Okay, so what did it just do? Okay. At the end of the implementation agent task, I do not want to merge the work tree. I want to keep the work tree open all the way until we've done a human review. So it'll go from planning to in progress. In progress will open the work tree. AI review will examine that work tree, and then human review will also examine that work tree. Only once it's been approved will we merge the work tree together with main. Okay. I'm gonna let it go ahead and plan those tasks. We also need to make sure that the planning phase is multi-threaded. All right. My kid got to use the PlayStation for the first time. Got a controller for Christmas. All right. So we're doing the simple to do. It's able to, let's see what happens. It's going to start creating the work tree. I guess we can just start throwing stuff in here, right? What could break? Yeah, so now it's got a couple of things in progress. Got the couple work trees there. So we're actually starting to see a whole lot more happening now. Now that we can do parallel tasks. And we have the work trees actually happening here too. So we're making much better usage of our time. Oh, oh, I hit my rate limit. I hit the anthropic rate limits. Okay. So we got parallel stuff happening now, but we're hitting rate limits. I thought my rate limit was quite a bit higher. Um, yeah, so I'm supposed to be able to do like 1,000 requests per minute right now, but is not letting me. What is let's see here. Anthropic rate limit tiers. Ba, 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 ba. Okay. Tier 2. I'll get tier 3. $200. Okay, so what's the actual rate limit at the different tiers? Okay, so 50, 1,000, 2,000, 4,000. Hmm. Service tiers. All right, guys. This has been fun. I'm gonna go ahead and zone out. My son's starting to kind of get a little bit up there as far as yelling across the PlayStation. I need to go calm him down. And my wife is almost home. So have a good night, guys. I'll be at this again probably